May you dwell in the heart. May you be free from suffering. May you be healed. May you be at peace. May we dwell in the heart. May we be free from suffering. May we be healed. May we be at peace. May all dwell in the heart. May all be free from suffering. May all be healed. May all be at peace.
Now, I am here to tell you that I have 4 real-life guardian angels in the studio with me tonight. These 4 women are part of a group that's based here in Santa Barbara, although has worldwide affiliations, and they are called the Santa Barbara Threshold Singers. And what they do is pretty mind-boggling. And I am going to ask them to tell you what they do. Penelope, do you want to start?
Sure. I'm Penelope Salinger, and I've been singing with the choir since 2007, and it's something that I was just immediately drawn to. We call it feeling the shiver. I can go more later, but let's get around to everybody else. Lupe's to my left.
I'm Lupe Trithara, and I joined almost around that time as well. And I had sung on my own to some family members who were passing, and when I heard about this group that was forming, I thought it was something that called to me.
I'm Marilyn Scott, and I was one of the founders of our chapter, not one of the originals, but so I've been here since the very beginning, and that was in 2006.
I'm Hathor Hammett, and I'm also a founding member. I started with Marilyn in 2006, and it's been a real blessing.
So I found out about the Santa Barbara Threshold Singers through our good friend, the death doula Arlene, when she was on my show, a couple of months ago now. It's hard to believe we've had so many shows, and I was immediately taken by this whole concept. So they sing at the bedsides of people who are transitioning on over to the great mystery. And tonight they're going to share some stories with me about what that feels like, what that looks like, and then we'll get into some of the specifics about how it actually works in our community later on. So, who would like to start off with a favorite story? A favorite story, I don't know, is that the right word to use?
Sure. Well, we have bedside singing stories. And one of the things I want to emphasize is that we don't want people to wait to call us until it's the very end. Sometimes people think, oh, I can't, they have to be immediately dying before I can call them. We much prefer to be called as soon as it occurs to a loved one that our singing might bring comfort. And so there are stories of people that we've sung to for 6 months. We used to sing on the third Friday of every month in the living room at Sarah House. And that gave us a chance to sing for people for over a period of time. And one of my favorite stories is singing to a woman who was actually our age then, who was there. She turned out to be there for about 6 months, and she was mobile, and so she would come and sit in the circle with us and sing, and she loved singing with us. Well, the very last time that we sang for her, she and the woman who was the director at that time had been singing Broadway songs in her room, and so they asked if we could continue in that theme, and so she came out into the living room, and we sang as many Broadway songs as we could think of, and it was just so wonderful to have known her for that period of time and to be able to give her something that brought her so much delight.
I can only imagine how beautiful that must have been. And I assume that family members and other caregivers and friends who are coming to visit would also be hearing your music as well.
That was one of the magical things about singing at Sarah House. We were, people could, if they were mobile, they could join us. If they had visitors, their visitors would come sit in the circle. Volunteers would come. Any staff members who had a free 5 minutes would come and sit with us, and it was quite lovely.
Sometimes the dogs.
Oh, visiting pets, yes.
Oh, great. So for our listeners who aren't familiar with Sarah House, can somebody give us a little introduction to what Sarah House is and what services they provide in the community?
Okay. Yeah, we've got 2 hospice facilities in our town. Sarah House is the social model hospice, meaning that they don't provide their own medical services. Visiting nurses hospice comes and provides those services. So it's a very family-like atmosphere. It's over on Modoc.
8 beds, I
8
think.
beds, yeah, there's 2 wings and 4 rooms on each wing. And so they want it to be, they want it to be as much like a family as possible, and their motto is extraordinary kindness.
Nice.
And then the other hospice facility we have is Serenity House, which is done through Visiting Nurses Association Hospice Care, and it's a beautiful, beautiful facility with 18 beds.
Is that the one up on the city side of the Mesa?
That's right.
And was Sarah House originally Heath House?
Yes, it was.
Years ago, I worked on a documentary film about the Heath House when it was first coming into being, and so I became
and so they
familiar
originally
with
started as a place for people with AIDS who were dying of AIDS and HIV to be, and then when those numbers went down because of the improvement in treatment options, then they opened as a hospice for anybody who needs care, generally low income.
Wonderful.
Totally.
Yeah. And we have sung at Serenity House as well. We used to sing there we're working our way towards singing there again on a regular basis.
And one of the things that distinguishes the two is that Serenity House is a nursing facility. So the nurses are right there.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, do you have another song ready to go?
Yeah. Marilyn is one of our composers. Marilyn, let me just talk about the repertoire a little bit, and I'll get into that. So when it first started out, the organization was founded by Kate Munger, who lives in the Bay Area, and she started by collecting songs just that were out there in general that we could sing, that Shenandoah and Amazing Grace and All Through the Night, and just songs that people would generally know. And then she started writing songs specifically for bedside singing, and then other choir members started writing songs for bedside singing, and now we actually have 580 songs in the repertoire that's on our website. And Marilyn Power Scott, our very own Marilyn Power Scott, is one of the prolific composers for the repertoire.
And so is Penelope Salinger, I'd like to say.
And so one of the bedside songs that really will work for any occasion is called Rest Easy. And let's do that one. It's sung by most of the chapters across the United States, and you mentioned internationally. There are chapters in a number of other countries, and they all know Rest Easy.
Because it's easy.
Easy, rest easy, let every trouble drift away. Easy, rest easy, love enfolds you and holds you safe. Easy, rest easy, let every trouble drift away. Easy, rest easy, love enfolds you and holds you safe. Easy, rest easy, let every trouble drift away. Easy, rest easy, love enfolds you and holds you safe. Ooh, ooh,
Wow, that is so lovely and so peaceful. You know, I'm reminded of when my mother was dying. We had hospice nurses in our home in Isla Vista, and this is 30-something years ago. But I remember the nurses telling me that the last sense to go is the sense of hearing. And so we would whisper, you know, words to her. I have sung all my life, so I would sing her songs. And hearing this song and hearing you, Lupe, tell the story of how you were able to do that, it's a very profound and kind of marvelous thing, because it can be so scary and so overwhelming and so mysterious, and you don't know what's going to happen next and what to look for. And being able to have the shared voices is really a gift. You guys are amazing. I'm so moved that you do this and that you volunteer to do it. And I'm really happy to hear that I somehow had this idea, and that was going to be one of my questions. Well, how do you know if the person is going to pass away in 20 minutes? Are you like 911 and you rush right over? So I'm happy to hear that you have the opportunity to have a more extended relationship with the families and the person, so that it feels more kind of copacetic as the whole experience unfolds in the great mysteries of life and death.
Yeah, and one of the things that happens if we get that opportunity to sing with some space between when we sing and when the person dies, is that our being there often encourages family members to sing themselves. It might not have occurred to them that they could do that, but we've heard stories of after our visit, people realize, oh, we could sing our dad's favorite song, and they'll do that singing themselves, and that's quite wonderful, because as you alluded to, there isn't all that much. When a person's dying, they don't need very much, and you want to give something to them. And this is something that we can give to them and others can give to their loved ones.
That's a beautiful, the name of my show is Good Grief, because I'm always searching for moments that I can share with people that it would be good grief. And that's really true, because when you're sitting at the bedside of someone, you don't know. I didn't know what to do for, the first few passings that I experienced in my life, and I'm much more comfortable with that process now. And now that I know about you, I'm even more comfortable and more, I'll definitely be sharing the information. So if one wanted to contact you, how does the process normally work?
Well, it depends on how people hear about us. Some people just they hear a Threshold Choir and they go to the website, which is the overall international organization, and that's thresholdchoir.org. And that gives people the option of sending a contact form, and then we get the email from the office. Or they can email us directly. Our email address is sbtchoir@gmail.com.
And is there a particular, timing, or, how? I guess I'm just asking, how does the process work? What would one say when they contact you?
Well, if it comes in by email, I try to phone the person as soon as possible and ask questions about when is convenient, a little bit about what stage the person might be in, and then I'll send out emails to our bedside singers, and as soon as 3 people can go, then they're the first group to go, and ideally they can have more than one visit, and it might be the same trio or it might be a different trio. And I'm emphasizing the word trio because sometimes when people hear choir, they think it's the Mormon Tabernacle Choir with 18 people standing around the bedside.
That could be a little overwhelming.
Yeah. But we usually send 3 people, or sometimes we have 4, like we are tonight with two people on the melody. Our songs are usually melody in the middle, and then a high harmony and a low harmony.
Well, let's have another one.
Before we do that, can I just say, it also depends. It's like people can call who are interested in joining the choir too.
You can use, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
You can use that contact information to say, I want to sing. I felt the shiver. And before we sing, I also want to pick up on something you were saying, Charlene, about not knowing what to do at the bedside. That's exactly how the choir was started. Kate Munger was taking a shift caring for a friend of hers who was dying of AIDS, and she did everything in terms of tasks that she could think of. And then there wasn't anything left to do, and there was still 2.5 hours left in the shift. And she said she did what she always did when she felt uncomfortable, and that was she sang. And she sang
first.
For herself.
Yeah.
For herself. It didn't have anything to do with the person she was caring for. It was to make herself feel more comfortable and calm herself down. And so she sang the same song. And she noticed that not only did it calm her down, but it also calmed down the man in the bed, and his breathing relaxed, his muscles relaxed, his breathing got deeper and more regular. And that was when the light bulb went on of, aha, there is something to this. That's what gave her the idea to start a choir.
Wow, wonderful. I have another train of thought. Do you want to sing?
No, go ahead. Let's follow the train.
Because I have not made it a point to speak directly about different faiths and different religions, because I just don't feel like I'm qualified for that, and I've been reaching out to different people and interviewing them, and in the future I'll have a show that talks more about that. But do you have some songs in your repertoire if someone, had a particular faith and they wanted a particular kind of song?
Yeah, and you've made a really good point, because we are not affiliated with any particular faith or religion. But we have the ability to sing. For instance, if a person wants hymns, we have a bunch of hymns that we've put together that we can pull out and sing. We have some songs in Hebrew. We have some songs in Arabic. We have songs in Spanish. One of the things that we do, that we're often called upon, is to sing in Spanish in this community, and it always feels like an honor to be able to sing to someone in their native language. That's one of the bedside stories that I often tell. Can we do a bedside story?
Yes, please.
Okay. Lupe was in on this one as well. We got a referral from the music therapist at VNA Hospice, and she asked if we could sing in Spanish for a woman who was actively dying. And actively was the operative word. I felt like, okay, we got to get on this right away. And I got the email at like 4:15 on a Friday, and I sent out an email, and I said, I'll be there even if it's just one person. And then I got an email back from another person who sings low harmony. Great, we got two. And then as I was pulling up to the facility, Lupe called me and said she could come. And so we had, great, 3 people. And we walked into the room, and the woman's sister and other relatives were standing at the bedside waiting for us. So we started singing. We sang the first verse in English, then we went into Spanish. And in the middle of it, her phone rings, and she indicated it was her nephew. And I could hear her saying, "They're here. They're singing. They're singing in Spanish." And it was clear that it meant a whole lot to the family. And then this was an experience where we finished singing, and we were going to start another song, which was also in Spanish, and the woman said, "Sing it again." So we launched right into it, and during that time through, the woman took her last breath.
Wow.
And so, again, it was like to be able to sing her home in her own language was such an honor, such a privilege. It's, Hathor was talking about the blessing of doing this service work. It felt like we were getting blessed.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, sounds like time for another song. Shall we do, so we're going to do the healing water. And I'm going to preface it by saying we pick different songs according to the phase that the person is in.
Or the room.
And the room, and the family members that are there. It's a real intuitive process. And so a person could be, as they're toward the end of their life, they're not paying attention to us. They're journeying. They're on an inner journey. And we try to pick songs that will be, I think of it as like a soundtrack. Whatever they're doing, we don't want to disrupt it. We're not calling them back. We're just supporting whatever is going on for them internally, which we don't know. Then there are other people, we meet them when they're talking and they're saying, "I love to sing, can you sing something that I know?" And so sometimes when we're singing, they'll say, "Can you sing anything, do you have anything more that's upbeat?" Because a lot of our songs, like you heard, are lullabies. And so this song can be sung as a lullaby, it can be sung up-tempo. So how about if we sing it up-tempo?
Sure.
I let the river, the healing water, I let the river carry me home. I let the river wash away sorrow. I let the river carry me home. I let the river, the healing water, I let the river carry me home.
away sorrow. I let the river carry me home. I let the river, the healing water, I let the river carry me home. I let the river wash away sorrow. I let the river carry me home. I let the river, the healing water, I let the river carry me home. I let the river wash away sorrow. I let the river carry me home.
Beautiful. This is DJ Boo, and you're listening to Talk Radio, Good Grief, Talk Radio for the Grieving Soul. We are coming to you live from KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara, California, and I think we have time for one more song before we turn it over to our two girls of 30, two 30-minute girls. I forget the name of their show, sorry. So do you want to sing your final song? And thank you so much for being on the show. We could go on for hours, but we're restricted by our time here.
And thank you for doing this show. It's very important.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
So we'll conclude with the song that we often sing as the last song at a bedside. It's called Dear One. Dear one,
Thank you for your love. Dear one, thank you for all you have done. Dear one, thank you for all you have given. Now it's your time to rest. Dear, dear, for your love. Dear one, dear one, dear one, dear